Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. I hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day to start things off. Kind of ridiculous, but here we go. Cryptocurrencies are no substitute for gold. This is according to the World Gold Council, of course, because why not? The World Gold Council, a marketing development organization for the gold industry, published a report late last month arguing that gold is very different from cryptocurrencies. It's less volatile, has a more liquid market, and trades in a regulatory environment, among other factors. Here's where it gets really stupid, and this is why I love the internet. Gold's price has appreciated 10% per year on average since the collapse of the Bretton Woods monetary system, which pegged major currencies to precious metals in the 1970s. This was said by the World Gold Council. While its volatility has also reduced over the last 4 decades, Bitcoin's price, on the other hand, the council says, has been extremely volatile, sometimes 10 times that of the dollar-denominated gold price. Therefore, it is not really as good as a currency. They also said, let alone a store of value, potentially limiting Bitcoin's use as a transaction token. Here's a little chart that we have right here, and notice the actual time frame that they gave. This was from Bloomberg by the World Gold Council. They're showing the volatility in Bitcoin and how crazy that it looks with all the charts going up and down. Keeping in your mind to notice that they start off in 2015 because they don't want to show exactly how much that Bitcoin has risen. Bitcoin trading volumes are also very low compared to gold and other currencies. Giving the statistics, the World Gold Council said Bitcoin trades $2 billion on average a day, less than 1% of the total gold market's value of approximately $250 billion per day. The World Gold Council said that gold demand is diverse, supply is responsive, and is tried and testively effective. Investment options in the portfolios are a diversifier, as well as having performed well during periods of inflation. Furthermore, gold prices and demand are not showing any signs of suffering from crypto competition. The council said that adding cryptocurrencies, they compete between themselves as there are now thousands of tokens available. Without reading any more through this, dare I say, stupidity. One of the major things, if you and I always once again do your own research, and this is more so not even this is a little side thing, not even for the sake of your cryptocurrency knowledge, but more for just showing exactly. Remember, I told you before that if you are not afraid of Bitcoin and not afraid of cryptocurrencies, if they do absolutely nothing to you, you don't release articles, anything like that you give to Bloomberg to then kind of announce to the rest of the world that nothing is going wrong. No one wants to use Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Why would anybody use them? There's no point. The prices aren't going to go anywhere. And then they show you a chart that starts at 2015 as opposed to 2009 when Bitcoin first came out. And they talk about how gold is less volatile and has been less volatile over the last 40 years, as if anyone actually cares. Once again, why I said why I love the internet, because it's very easy to find out information. Here you actually have a chart. Over here, 2009, the actual price of 1 ounce of gold was $1,087. That's a lot of money for a piece of metal. Then you go over here and you show the current gold price per ounce. It is $1,345. That's about a good $300 that the price has gone up over the last, I want to say, about 10 years. And lo and behold, when you click over here, they don't even have the full historical thing right here on coin.dance. It shows just 777 years ago since Bitcoin was created. Not even, this is 2012. Bitcoin's price has gone up by 65,000% over the last 7 years. That is not even considering the fact that in 2011, the price of 1 Bitcoin was around, what was it, 30 cents? Something completely ridiculous like this. I like articles like this because they show me what exactly what we have accomplished, how far we have come, because realistically, what's going to end up happening is, first of all, and if you even look through articles about the investment trends of younger people, and I mean people anywhere from the younger than the age of 35, maybe even 40, if you want to push it up there and go a little bit lower, downward. we have grown up in a generation where everything is more or less digital. We grew up with the internet. We grew up with the advent of the internet, and the idea that we would want to buy gold coins and smash gold coins into little fractions to be able to pay for lattes, avocado toast, whatever other millennials are eating is absolutely ridiculous. So the idea comes down to, and this is why I think it's very, very interesting to pay attention to the things. And I understand that sometimes Bitcoin maximalists can be a bit too maximalisty, can get a little insane with some of the things that they say, but pay attention to the things that they have been saying, especially since around 2012 and 2013. A lot of the things that they were saying have now come true. We do have governments who are creating their own cryptocurrencies. We have banks creating their own cryptocurrencies. We have cryptocurrencies forking off to create their own cryptocurrencies. One of the main things that they keep saying and have been saying for a very long time is that people are going to move away from gold. And I mentioned this before. I don't know a lot of you who were here for that. I'm going to breeze over that part really quickly. There was a situation that happened many, many years ago when Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin was around, it had to be around $1, somewhere, some ridiculously super low price. And there was this guy, he had an interview, and he was saying that he was helping this multimillionaire allocate his funds for the year, and he was trying to get him into different investments, telling him what to do, what the new trends were, how you could potentially make more money. He kept on telling him about Bitcoin, and this guy who he was helping did not want to put any money into any cryptocurrencies. So he said, listen, normally when I help you allocate these things, I tell you to put around, 5 to 10% of your entire wealth into these types of portfolios, so and so. And so he said, no, I'm not going to even tell you to put 1% into cryptocurrencies. This guy was also really into gold. He said, give me 1 ounce of gold. It was around $1,000 at that time. He said, I will put that into Bitcoin for you. Keeping in mind, Bitcoin was around $1. Got around 1,000 Bitcoin. This was years ago. He said Bitcoin's price hit $1,200. That was, the apex at that time. This guy made $1 million from just one gold coin. People are not going to be using gold in the future. It's already clearly established that the gold market is not as strong as it used to be. We know that, and this is kind of where the argument also comes in. We know mathematically that Bitcoin is finite because of the code, and this is why it's a bit easier to trust, because for those who don't know, I'll fill you in on a little secret. The gold market and the diamond market and just about especially the silver market, they are all highly manipulated. There's a lot more gold, silver, and diamonds out there than you actually think, than you are actually being told. And it's not even like it's actual like tinfoil hat knowledge. Like, it's actually out there. We know that this happens for a fact. We know that when things are mined in Africa and other countries who are stripped of their resources, the companies who acquire or are mining these things, they make sure that only a very tiny percentage of the things that they're actually creating or have mined actually go out into the public. Same as I think happens for diamonds. This is a very, what was that Leonardo DiCaprio movie? Was it Blood Diamond? Like, watch that movie. You'll get a taste of exactly what happens around the world, and it happens with everything. The fact of the matter is that we cannot do this for Bitcoin. You cannot mine Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies and say that you did not mine them, or that you mined 50 blocks and you only got 0.01 of a Bitcoin. Just not what happens. We know this mathematically. Anyway, the point is, I like whenever we have articles like this, especially from the World Gold Council. We had something else like this a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember exactly who it was from. We get so many banks and institutions releasing stuff like this, talking about their cryptocurrencies are going nowhere, how cryptocurrencies just aren't a substitute for gold. I can almost assure you there is not going to be a future as long as, within the next 100 years, as long as we have electricity and as long as we have the internet. We are not going to have anything in our near future where we are going to be walking around with gold and silver or copper coins in our pocket to be able to pay for things. We are going to be paying in digital currencies, whether that be Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, EOS, Misego, whatever the case might be, or even a stable coin. It is going to be crypto. It is not going to be gold. I like articles like this because I think they're really weird, and it's always nice to kind of come back to them a couple of months later just so we can see exactly how ridiculous 65,000%. They should have never even thought about writing that article, because the internet exists and we can find all this information out extremely fast. Let's move on. Next up, scrolling down a little tiny bit, with the testnet of the Binance chain currently live and running, owners of the Ledger Nano S hardware wallet can now access the platform by installing the Binance Chain app through Ledger Live, the developer mode. The team at Ledger made the announcement on the Binance deck supporting the hardware wallet via the following tweet. Here it is right here. They said, "We're thrilled to announce that Ledger is supported on the Binance Decentralized Exchange testnet. You can now install the Binance Chain app through Ledger Live developer mode to access the decentralized exchange testnet with the Ledger Nano S. The official announcement by Ledger explains that they have partnered with Binance on its decentralized exchange. The team at the Ledger states the following. I'm not going to read through that. You can kind of, it's just them tooting their own horn. The point is, Binance is constantly partnering with everyone. You shouldn't really be surprised at that. But this is actually kind of cool. I wonder if they'll end up doing this with the other exchange wallets, hardware, cold storage, however you kind of want to call them. The fact is that Ledger is more or less first. I think Ledger, there are other hardware wallets, but I think Ledger is kind of I want to say the largest. I don't know the numbers. But usually when people talk about hardware wallets, it's usually Ledger is the first thing that comes out of their mouth. Anyway, I thought this was kind of cool, and I assume that they will be adding support for other ones eventually, but as of right now, Ledger Nano S is the first hardware wallet that is supported by the Binance Decentralized Exchange's testnet. Let's move on. Oh yeah, someone mentioned in the last video, not to be vulgar or crude, I don't know exactly how squeamish everyone is, that I was like farting in the last video. No, but thank you for caring about my bodily health. I'm sitting on like a chair thing that just happens to squeak a lot. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I saw at least like 15 comments in the last video, and I was like, yeah, so announced on Saturday, the beta, I don't know if you heard that. There we go. That was a chair. The beta app called Tippin has released a new Chrome extension available to Google browser users over Twitter. App users can send Bitcoin payments via the Lightning Network, considered a way to make Bitcoin transactions feasible at a large scale for the first time. With the extension enabled, a little lightning bolt symbol pops up inside every tweet next to more than the familiar like and retweet buttons. I can't play it because of copyright and what have you, but I think there's a little lightning symbol right there. It builds off an old idea that small payments are one of Bitcoin's selling points. Bitcoin app Change Tip was a popular one, but it died out around 2016. Tipping engineer Sergio Abril told CoinDesk, in my opinion, tipping is going to be incredibly popular with Lightning. It's the first time we can send small amounts almost at no cost, and we can do it incredibly fast. All a user needs is a Twitter account and to install the Tippin to receive tips. As such, Tippin hopes to capitalize on crypto Twitter power users to drive growth. I feel like they did this, first of all. We know that Lightning is coming to Twitter. It's kind of, if it's going to come to the Square app, one can only assume that Jack Dorsey is also going to bring it to Twitter as well, especially since he said he likes the Lightning Network. That's going to completely change the way that the world works, and I don't even mean that as like a joke or even like a me trying to gloat about Bitcoin. When we have Bitcoin in some essence integrated into Twitter, and I told you guys this before, and I didn't think that it would actually be Bitcoin. Not to say that I didn't want it to be Bitcoin, but I thought it would be some other coin. I felt like some other coin would have kind of gotten there first, but I guess every other project is maybe just not up to it. Anyway, the point is, when we have a situation where we can send tips and really tiny tips that are integrated into the actual platform, that's going to completely change. Bitcoin's volume is going to go completely through the roof, because the idea is that, and a lot of other people, this is why you see so many apps and like social media networks creating their own cryptocurrencies, is because the idea is that if you can't force people to use your cryptocurrency to send payments overseas, to send payments through a bank, to have a bank issue your cryptocurrency, whatever the case might be, but you can create an app, or in this case Twitter, which is already gigantic, that is already going to be using a cryptocurrency to be able to send it back and forth, because the idea has always been a killer app, or a killer DApp, air quotes, that we can send value back and forth relatively quickly, especially if people are posting things. Let's say someone posts something, you like it, and you're like, here's 5 cents. It's not that easy to do this with crypto. There are cryptocurrencies, obviously, that have no transaction fees, but a lot of them aren't really integrated. So when we have this officially integrated into Twitter, that's going to completely, really, almost overnight change the pace that Bitcoin's volume is kind of going at. But this is why I feel like this company created this as well, trying to maybe get in a bit beforehand. But once again, this is also tying into another set of Lightning Network news, which we're getting every single day. It's completely insane how much Lightning has picked up since about 2 months ago, and ever since that, all these famous people have more or less grabbed the lightning torch, as it were. I'm excited to see exactly where the Lightning Network is going to be by the end of this year, because it's completely blowing my mind with how fast it is actually moving. Really crazy. This one's also kind of cool. Grain of salt time. According to an all-new report released by a respected media outlet, the Japanese government is currently gathering information regarding institutional interest in regard to crypto offerings such as ETFs. If the latest news source is to be believed, cryptocurrency exchange-traded funds might be on their way to the market sooner rather than later. In this regard, it is being said that the Japanese financial regulator is currently making immense strides to create a legal framework for crypto ETFs that will help them enter the economic mainstream in the near future. To be more specific, the Japanese Financial Services Agency, or the FSA, recently revealed that it had been procuring data as to gauge public interest regarding an ETF-related financial offering. As per a trustworthy source that wishes to remain unnamed, because of course, the number of institutional players interested in the cryptocurrency ETF is significantly high at this point, so much so that the FSA is once again looking at the possibility of releasing such a financial tool soon. A closer look at the above-mentioned crypto ETF survey shows us that the Japanese FSA is seriously evaluating the fate of the crypto ETF. Financial instruments that could once again inject a lot of excitement and financial impetus into this burgeoning space. Once again, like I said, a grain of salt time, no one knows. But this is not the first time that we've had news from a country that someone said that they knew that behind the scenes that the government or the SEC of that country was potentially working on allowing the approval of a crypto-based ETF within that country. Because, I mean, realistically, if you can get in before the US, do it. We saw the same exact thing that happened with Sweden. It was some Nordic country, can't remember exactly who they were, when they announced that they had a Bitcoin ETN, an exchange-traded note. And 2 days later, the SEC swooped in and said, no, you cannot denominate this in US dollars because we have not told you to do so, which is kind of insane if you think about it, because it is not their country and they can still have jurisdiction over them. Anyway, the point is, it's going to happen at some point. I don't think that the US will be the first one. I'm hoping, just because life, I'm hoping that at least 3 other countries do it at the exact same time. That would kind of cause the SEC to kind of really get it together. But we're going to have one at some point, and how do I say this? The amount of institutional people who are desperately trying to get into a Bitcoin exchange traded anything is incredibly high, because they know these things from the other traditional financial markets. But when we do officially have one of these, the sky's the limit at that point. I mean, I know, once again, I hate even focusing on ETF. I'm tired of saying the word ETF, but it's just what crypto is right now. There's so much news about it because everyone is trying to focus on, and I guess potentially even behind the scenes, trying to get one of these launched, because I mean, realistically, before we had news that we were close to getting one launched, and prices went up by like 15-20%. So imagine when we actually do have one that actually ends up making it into the mainstream. Anyway, let's move on. Here's kind of a weird one, and I mean, I guess it's significant in some sort of ways. Vitalik Buterin has disclosed that his crypto investments are virtually exclusively devoted to Ethereum. In a post published on an Ask Me Anything or an AMA that happened about 2 days ago, the Ask Me Anything post has dedicated Ethereum leadership and accountability, asking those in leadership positions in the Ethereum community to share their possible conflicts of interest. In Buterin's summary, Buterin says that he holds Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Zcash, and these account for less than 10% of the value of his non-Ethereum holdings. I don't know why. I mean, I don't really care for Bitcoin Cash, but Dogecoin is probably the last thing he should be holding. A further set of non-Ethereum ecosystem tokens comprised of Geber, Omise Go, Maker, and Augur are similarly reportedly collectively worth less than 10% of Buterin's Ethereum's holdings. Buterin also disclosed on the Ask Me Anything that he has significant corporate shareholdings in blockchain research and development firms Clearmantix, as well as in scalability and privacy-focused blockchain startup Starkware. The latter notably develops cryptographic technology such as zero-knowledge proofs, of which Buterin is a vocal proponent. So I guess the major news is that around, I don't know if that's a complete 10% or if it's a 10%. Less than 20% of Buterin's holdings are comprised of Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, I assume the Cash because of the fork, Dogecoin, Zcash, Kyber Network, Omisego, Maker, and Augur. I'm not surprised at all by Augur or by Omisego. Kyber and Maker, I assume he has some type of a hand in them, obviously. But Omisego seems like his like a bit of like his baby. And Augur, he was like a big advocate for Augur when they were first talking about launching around 2016, 2017, and they were kind of the new crypto on the block. Anyway, we now know what Vitalik holds because that's important to a lot of people. But yeah, let's move on. This is, and I only mention this because this is something that I also believe, not financial advice, I promise you. It's more like this is going to happen whether you believe so or not. Just mathematically, we are going to eventually get to a point where normal people will not be able, see that's the chair again, will not be able to pay $150,000 per Bitcoin. That's just not going to be a thing. The crypto winter has lasted for over a year. While everything looks dark and gloomy currently, there are many crypto experts who see a light at the end of the tunnel. A famous crypto analyst named Chosrova said that now could be the last time that the general population could afford to buy an entire Bitcoin. He said after 2021, Bitcoin could move to a market price where most will only buy fractions. First of all, to be realistic, not many people can shell out $20,000 to buy an entire Bitcoin. One of China's most influential and notable Bitcoin bigwigs, Cao Dong, claimed that while the bear market will continue to the end of 2019, buying Bitcoin at the current valuations would be a great strategy. Dong explained that as it stands, the public has avoided paying attention to Bitcoin, thus making it logical to stock up on the cryptocurrency while the general consumer population hasn't yet FOMO'd into it. Although he seemed to be adamant that cryptocurrency could post new all-time high eventually, Dong made sure to note that there's a chance that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies could establish lower lows in this market cycle. He said, for most people, if they don't pay attention to Bitcoin now, they won't pay much attention to it for more time. So for them, only having maybe tens of thousands of Bitcoin will break them and then be noticed again. Mark Jeffrey, the author of the book called Bitcoin Explained Simply, expects a digital asset to keep growing up to $250,000 in the future. That represents a price of nearly 6,719% from the current level, or 1,150 from its all-time high. Jeffrey seems very bullish about the third cycle. He believes that Bitcoin will reach $250,000 in the future. Ultimately, he did not provide the market with a specific timeline. I think if in any future, in any time frame where Bitcoin goes above 50,000, it's not unbelievable that it's going to hit 100,000. And then you have to understand with the amount of interest that we have in this space right now, it's like we're not alone. I know it may not seem like it. I know it may not seem like the institutional investors are actually in this space, that they actually care about this space. They're actually putting money into this space. They're here. They're not going anywhere. They're waiting for all these things to launch. They're waiting for regulations. They're waiting for the ETFs. They're waiting for the ETNs. They're waiting for BACK. They're waiting for Fidelity. They're waiting for the NASDAQ. They're waiting for every other thing to simply launch so that they have a clear structural time, place, frame for them to be able to put their money. When Bitcoin hits $100,000, it will hit $250,000. It may not happen now. It may not happen next year. It may not happen until 2025, but it is going to happen. And it's going to be I've already said before, and this is not to, it's more to just be realistic. If you've been paying attention to what's been happening around the world, to the amount of poverty that we have in the world, to the widening gap that we have between, it's no longer the rich and the poor. It's now the destitute and the wealthy. That's only going to continue widening, especially I watch a lot of documentaries when it comes to like financial documentaries. I'm kind of obsessed with them. Little side note about me. I love documentaries about money. I don't know what it is. I absorb them, as many as I possibly can. The people who even consider themselves to be middle class, that's heavily disappearing because the world has made it so that people get themselves into debt. I mean, not to say that it's not their fault, but it's like walking over banana peels in cartoons, or like tripping over, strings and stuff like that, and door entrances. A stupid analogy, but you kind of get what I'm saying. It's just there. The world is made for people to get into debt, and the more debt that you get into, the harder it is for you to get out of. And yeah, the world is the richest people in the world are only going to become richer. It's expected that within our lifetimes, we're going to see the first trillionaire. Billionaires are made every single day, especially if you pay attention to some of the people who got into cryptocurrencies very early. These people are now billionaires. They are not millionaires anymore. They are incredibly rich. They were even richer during the bull run. But what we're going to end up happening is, once again, not financial advice, is that when Bitcoin does go up, and it's going to be a very sad and annoying day at the exact same time, because so many people, not you guys necessarily, people are going to be complaining that Bitcoin is only for the rich. Bitcoin should not be this way. Keeping in mind that 2012, 13, 14, 15, not 17, and 2018 have all been moments where people, realistically, if you had throughout 2018 put $300 every single month into Bitcoin, you would have had a complete Bitcoin by now. Just kind of how things are. I suppose we're going to get into a world very quick where I think a lot of the world is only going to be for, I mean, not to have a full dystopian video, but you kind of get what I'm saying. This is going to happen. The math is all there. We also have a lot of people talking about that Bitcoin's going to hit 1 million at some point. I'll save that video for when we actually do hit 250,000. Anyway, I think that is definitely going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. I do appreciate all of your support. As always, one second, there we go. A very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Vlad the Impaler, Gil Boa Snake, Rai, Brady Nields, L. Doug, Arthur Yaku, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Nick Mangialavori, Travis Haynes, Gordon Nikic, Yasha Harari, Anthony Charles, Nick Kanaya, singer, songwriter Mike Savitz, and Zoltar2. Thank you all very much for your generosity. I do appreciate it more than you could possibly begin to imagine. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. See you.